So we have just finished Genesis and we are starting the book of Exodus. And we have read some wonderful stories like Adam and Eve, Jacob and Esau, Abraham and Isaac, Joseph. And we're going to continue with these stories with Moses and the Egyptians and the 10 plagues. And it has been pretty easy, pretty nice, like a walk in the park with beautiful weather and a gentle breeze, no problems. And now we find ourselves standing at the foot of a giant, scary mountain. Leviticus. Leviticus is famous for being the most boring book in the Bible. It's a manual. It's a giant list of instructions, and there are only a couple tiny little stories there. And most people, when they get to this point, they just quit. Why? Because the world has trained us to always be entertained. And many people, when they come to the Bible, they come for entertainment. But the Bible is not Netflix. It is not entertainment. We need to think of it more like how we think about oxygen, fresh air, or fresh water. There is nothing particularly entertaining about water or oxygen, but we need these to survive, right? So, in the same way, when we come to the Bible, we don't come to be entertained, but to receive that life-giving truth. Why should we read the book of Leviticus? 2 reasons. First, it is a book that Jesus says we should read. Jesus said, "Man shall not live on bread alone, but on every word that proceeds out of the mouth of God." And a significant amount of these words are found in Leviticus. Actually, Leviticus has the highest amount of direct speech texts from God than any other Old Testament narrative. Wow. Number 2, Leviticus clarifies the meaning of Christ's death in the New Testament. Without the book of Leviticus, the death of Christ cannot be properly understood. Leviticus has detailed instructions for offering sacrifices, and these sacrifices display the fact that sin brings death. Sin brings death. The sacrifices also reveal that God accepts the blood of an innocent substitute to pay for sin. Also, the book of Hebrews, that wonderful book, it would be practically unintelligible without the book of Leviticus. But is there anything that we can personally grow from in this book? Yes, many things. First, our hunger for God's holiness will grow. Leviticus shows us just how much God cares about His purity and holiness. And when we study this book, we will start to realize how lightly we have been treating God's holiness. And I will be the first to admit that I need this reminder. I often forget about how holy God is, and I act often disrespectful. How many times do we treat God like a secretary? You know, we wake up in the morning and we come to God and we say, "Okay, God, bless my food, bless my journey, bless my work, bless my family, bless my health, bless my bank account, bless my dog, bless the weather, bless my evening." Off you go? No. The problem is we don't know who God is, and we don't know who we are. The book of Leviticus fixes that. My friend from church was just telling me about how we should bless God. She was telling me about Psalm 16, 7-8, which says, "I will bless the Lord who guides me. Even at night my heart instructs me. I know the Lord is always with me. I will not be shaken, for He is right beside me. Amazing. Next, our love for Christ deepens. Leviticus shows us just how far God has gone in his love for guilty sinners like us to provide a way for forgiveness. Whenever we sing a worship song about atonement or sacrifice, because of Leviticus, we can imagine how terrible and gruesome and horrible that process actually was. Leviticus 17:11 says, "For the life of the flesh is in the blood, and I have given it to you on the altar to make atonement for your souls, for it is the blood by reason of the life that makes atonement." Leviticus graphically reminds us that the price for our sin is death and bloodshed. It reminds us what Christ accomplished for us, and that it was no easy task. It was no small thing. Next, our love for our neighbors will increase. One of the most well-known facts about the Bible is that it tells us to love our neighbors as ourselves. But one of the least known facts is that this verse is found in Leviticus chapter 19, verse 18. And in the context, it's about a lot more than just being nice to our neighbors. It includes having the character of God in all of our interactions with all people, in business, in courts of law, with our family, with how we treat the poor, with everybody. Okay, there's an interesting story in chapter 10 that I want to talk about for a second. It's about Aaron's two sons, and I'm just going to read verses 1 to 3. Verse 1 says, "Now Nadab and Abihu, the sons of Aaron, took their respective fire pans, and after putting fire in them, placed incense on it, and offered strange fire before the Lord, which he had not commanded them. And fire came out from the presence of the Lord and consumed them, and they died before the Lord. Then Moses said to Aaron, 'It is what the Lord spoke, saying, by those who come near me, I will be treated as holy, and before all the people, I will be honored.' So Aaron therefore kept silent." Okay, lots of things have changed since the time of Moses and Aaron, but what has not changed is the character of God. And today he is just as passionate about his holiness as he has ever been. And every one of us who represent God in ministry, we have that same obligation to regard him as holy. God will never, and he has never, negotiated that obligation. So, Nadab and Abihu, they brought strange fire before the Lord. You know, they were probably also drunk. Then God immediately kills them. No warning, no second chance, instant execution. And Moses reminds Aaron about what God said, that he said, "By those who come near me, I will be treated as holy." And Aaron kept silent. What else could he do? How could he argue with God? What should he say? Come on. Aren't you overreacting? Why are you taking yourself so seriously, God? Then Moses commands the bodies to be buried outside the camp like unclean things. Moses tells Aaron not to tear his clothing, which was a sign of sadness, of mourning for his sons. Then there's a similar passage in 2 Samuel about Uzzah. Remember, David he's in a hurry to get the Ark of the Covenant, and they transport it by cart, which is illegal, and instead of carrying it, and then the oxen stumble, Uzzah sticks out his hand to prevent it from falling, dead. God executes him on the spot. No warning, no second chance. And then think about Ananias and Sapphira in Acts 5. They lie to the Holy Spirit, instant death. No warning, no second chance. Then there's the story of King Uzziah in 2nd Chronicles, right? He becomes really powerful, his pride also, and he enters the temple to burn incense where he should not be. The priests try to stop him, then he gets super angry, and God instantly strikes him with leprosy, and he dies a leper. How do we deal with these texts? Is God losing his temper? So many people, when they read this, they're shocked at God's behavior. Like, how can he be like that? What's his problem? Well, I believe that we have become accustomed to, we are used to God's grace so much that we are no longer shocked by God's grace. Rather, we are shocked by God's justice. And that shouldn't shock us. You know, when a criminal is guilty, we expect justice. We want justice. But what is shocking is mercy. When God gave us a way out, that is shocking. So, when we come before God in our various ministries and services, let's not dishonor the Spirit through irreverent prayer. Let's not treat God like a secretary. Let's not be shocked by his justice. Let's be shocked by his grace. Let's come before him with humble confidence. Let's not be prideful like King Uzziah. And let's be like how it says in 1 Peter 5. It says, let us humble ourselves under the mighty hand of God, that he may exalt us at the proper time. May we not hide our sin like Ananias and Sapphira, but let us confess our sin. And this month, if we can get through Leviticus, we can get through Numbers and Deuteronomy. No problem. So let's focus on God's holiness this month, and let's learn what it means to bless him.